Join me right now. Back on the show is resurging UFC lightweight Frank the Crank Camacho. What's going on, Frank?
Hey, what's up? What's up? Yo, man, just hanging out. Just finished some cardio and just here chilling at the gym, man. And in California, so I'm not communicating with you in the same time zone, or sorta. It's nighttime here, and I know it's probably like morning time in where you're at, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's almost noon.
Almost noon. Oh shit. Okay. All right.
Before we get into all that, UFC stuff, let's talk about your recent title fight versus Caleb Cruz. You're finished in the third round. What did you think about the illegal shots you took to the crotch in that fight?
No, it was a what was it? It's not Joe Soto. It's something Soto and Keith
Joe
Hackney.
San.
Joe Son, Joe Son, Keith Hackney, man. That's it brought me back to those days. But man, it was cool, bro. I had an opportunity to like hang out with the kid. Man, great kid, dude. Great kid. Actually, funny, crazy story is the first training session we had. His parents were kind of worried that he was gonna kind of like freak out because he's not used to being around a lot of like people or like loud noises. And in the gym there's people lifting weights and training or whatever. But man, he just totally rose to the occasion, and it was totally his element, and it was so cool, man. And he's such a great kid, bro. Like if anything, he uh he made my day, like just with the energy that he brought, and man, everything. He was so great.
Yeah, man, I thought it was a great video that you guys made, a great opportunity for Caleb to just have a moment in his life, where he was the star, of the show. It was fun. And in the beginning of the video, it was so funny that he was like talking about you and you're standing next to him.
I was right there. It was like, he's like, yeah, Frank's going down. I'm gonna take him out, and I'm like, dude, I'm right here. You're not supposed to be talking about me like that, but he was, man. He stuck to the narrative, and it was
Uh,
great, bro. So it was so crazy because when I first met Caleb, I was just paying my power bill, and his sister came up to me, I think, or his dad, and was like, "Hey, man, my son or my brother's a really huge fan. He really wants to meet you." And I met him, and dude, from then on, you could tell this kid just had that charisma, like. Uh, I just remember that day he was saying, "Frank, one of these days I'm gonna fight you," and I'm like, "Whoa, dude, this guy, like, And it's crazy because he put his mind to it, and we had a date, and we went at it for 3 rounds. It was,
mm.
man, it was so cool. It was so inspiring, man. Great,
Yeah.
what a great kid. And then
Yeah, man.
the video that we made for him, of him training, I was like, you know what? I want to make him a little like highlight training reel. So I heard from his mom and his dad that he was showing like the bus driver. He was showing all his friends, like, yo, I got to fight with Frank soon. I got to fight. It's just one of those things that make you so thankful to be in the business that you're in.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of times that these stories kind of get looked over. That's why I like to bring it up in the interviews is because, especially at the beginning where people first click it and they're like listening to what's going on, and
Yeah.
this is the first thing they'll listen to. And it's great to kind of give that exposure to Caleb and to, what you're doing. Cause I know that that's just a little snippet of what you do on the islands for people. So, I'm really happy to talk about that.
Oh man, thank you, bro. Because and to all the fighters out there, or even like athletes or whatever, man, really use it as a platform. Use this stardom or this extra attention. Use it as a platform to do something good. And for me, growing up, I never really had that athlete coming to the schools and talking to all the kids. So I feel like it's like my duty to do that. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's great, and it's just meeting all the great people on the way is awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, now let's get back to your UFC career so
Wait,
far,
well, before we get into that,
Yeah.
to everyone, that was commenting like, "Oh, Frank, you're going down there." Now I know who, like, if you guys are true fans or not. Everyone, I was the super underdog. Everyone wanted me to lose. It was crazy.
Oh wow, I didn't even realize that. Well, you went
Yeah,
in there, man, and I wanted to kind of go over that performance you had in Stockholm. You seem like you were in like this flow state. I've never seen you in this from you in a fight
yeah,
like
yeah,
this. Like it's like how Michael Jordan talks about he's in the zone and he can't miss a shot. It kind of
yeah,
it kind of felt that way when I was watching you fight. You felt like you were it was just so smooth what was going on. Did you feel that way?
yeah. I did. It was. I was very. I was not tunnel vision, but I was very open, but very, like, very methodical. Like the flow state. Like I just had my game plan that we've been working here at Team Oyama with Coach Oyama and Alex and the team, and I just went out there and I just did my job, bro. Like I had things that I needed to do, and I just went there and I did it. And if he threw like a counter in or whatever, man, I was, let's just say, when I went in there, I was a thinking fighter. I didn't just go in there and just fight. And you could tell, like, after the first round, Coach Colin was like, "Hey, we're not gonna brawl, man. We're not gonna brawl." I was like, "Okay, yes sir, yes sir." So we had different things that we were saying that he would say in the corner that would keep me from brawling, and to stick to the game plan. Man, and it felt good. I was like, wow, I could have made this fight so much harder.
Definitely, man. Well, those
Yeah.
split second decisions, that affects every fight, and you made the right decisions, especially with the help of your corner, kind of giving you those instructions out loud and kicking you back into gear. That was your first finish in the UFC. I think a lot of people don't realize that because you've been in so many
Yeah.
crazy fights, right?
Yeah, and I've always wanted to get my finish, like, yeah, of course, the W, right? But the problem with just getting a W is the anxiety of the judges. You just never know. You know what I mean? Man, you just never know. But I'm in there to finish fights, and I think that's where the final nights have come along, because I just go in there and bite down on my mouthpiece and I try to just finish guys. And that's not the case with the level in the UFC, man. The guys are good. Everyone's tough. Everyone's strong. Everyone's fast. But now, who's the thinker? Who's smarter in there? And I'm so glad that people were able to recognize that in my last fight.
Yeah, 50K is always good to get into your
Oh,
bank account, right? But a performance that elevates your status in the division is much better. Do you agree?
oh man, 100%. At the end of the day, man, I'm a martial artist and I'm a competitor. Uh, man, entertainer, man. I don't really have the nicest dance moves. I don't really have the cool one liners. Like, I will go in there and I'll go on and I'll perform and um, display my art the best that I can. I'm a martial artist and I'm a fighter.
When you heard that Nick Hein was retiring from MMA and you were the last guy he shared the cage with, what was your reaction to that news?
Man, honestly, I was very honored. Like, honored to have shared the cage with him his last time. I'm sure my because I fought him, and because of his loss, that I'm sure that wasn't the reason. I know for sure that he had that in his mind, or maybe it was the last fight in his contract, or I don't know, whatever it was. But I'm so glad that I was able to share the cage with him. And so, funny thing is I was talking to him on the way, at the weigh-ins, the ceremonial weigh-ins. And man, the guy has a lot of stuff. He's a handsome, chiseled looking dude. He has a lot going on for himself in Germany. Man, he's an actor. He was telling me he has this show coming on. It's like some type of, like, food type of show. I don't know what kind of show it is, but he has a lot going on for himself, and yeah, I'm super excited for the next chapter of in his career, his life.
Yeah, man, I'm glad like a lot of these fighters they actually have other things going on in their life, you know, and
Yeah, for
things that
sure.
they could monetize. And even like a lot of people wonder, where's Stun Gun? Where's, Stun Gun? Where is he? You know, everybody
Yeah,
wants to know what is he doing,
yeah.
but he's
Where is
actually
he? What is
doing
he
the
doing?
same thing. He's in Korea. He's a major star now on television. Like,
What?
yeah, TV personality, making major cash, and he has his own team that he's growing at the same time coaching. So, he
Wow.
doesn't need to fight anymore. He's had his
Yeah.
run, I guess, in the UFC, and it's good to see those types of stories, I believe.
Oh no, for sure, man. And people only see 15 minutes at a time of us fighters, right? But you know, there's a saying: once you've wrestled, everything in life is easy. And I really that I think that applies to mixed martial arts because man, this is a tough game, man. You gotta have some thick skin, and you have to have the desire and the will to win and keep coming back, even though you get knocked out in front of thousands and millions of people. Uh, and that right there just makes a makes it easier for people to be successful. That work ethic and that discipline that we gain from martial arts.
Definitely. Now, you get to go back to Singapore for your next fight, the
Yes.
place that you made your UFC debut. For someone that has been to that country before or somebody that has never been to that country, what makes that place so great?
Well, man. So first off, Singapore is very special to me because of my UFC debut, and 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 dude, that place is freaking. Have you ever been there?
No, but I've only heard good things about that
Oh
place.
gosh, it's like the city of the future, bro.
Yeah.
It's like and it's crazy because they're the size of it's the same size as hold on, look at this guy. Hold on, this guy's messing with me. Alex Perez.
How you doing?
Sorry about that, dude. So, Singapore is man, the city of the future. Like, so we were there for 3 days straight. Now, we were there for like a week, and for 3 days we were trying to find like a piece of trash on the ground, and it was crazy. I was like, "Yo, this place is so clean. The landmass is the same size as Guam, but there's no traffic. It's crazy." Same landmass as Guam, but 5.5 million people and no traffic. So it's like definitely the city of the future.
Yeah. Now, you didn't call anybody out, your last fight. You said that your manager's going to take care of all of that. Did your
Yeah.
manager immediately tell you, like, hey, we want you to fight Beneil Dariush?
Um, I not immediately after the fight. Like we got the call. Hold on, real quick. Stop. You could hear that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Check that out. Ooh, look at that, man.
There you go. There's a moment in time right there.
All right, shoot, bro. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good.
Uh, no, so I'm not the guy. I'm not the type of guy to call people out, but I know it is. Like not looking forward ahead of opponents, but having to not looking ahead of opponents, but also to knowing your path to your goals, right? Like what you're trying to do. This fight, I never thought of fighting Beneil Dariush. We got the call probably like 4 weeks ago, and it was man. My manager and my coach were like, "Hey, by the way, we're gonna be fighting Beneil." I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" If anything, I just saw it as a huge opportunity for me. Um, formerly ranked guy. I think he's like ranked number 16 right now. Great dude, great martial artist, and an opportunity for me to really put a stamp on, hey, Frank the Crank is here, and he's not messing around. Um, I didn't even think that I was gonna get a guy like Benny. So if anything, it's kind of like very humbling that the UFC even offered someone a guy like Benny. I was thinking like maybe like 2 or 3 fights till I get to guys near a number near their name. So yeah, super stoked and super excited for this one.
Yeah, it seems like this matchup makes a lot of sense for both of you guys for Beneil and you at this point in your guys' careers, you know. And yeah, man, it's like perfect timing for this fight, the perfect place, the biggest name so far in the UFC. Where would a win over Beneil put you, you know, in the division, do you believe?
Yeah, see, so that's a very interesting question because so like Beneil's last fight was against Judober. Judober was getting on him in the first round, but he ended up turning it around and submitting Judober. You know, I lost to Judober, but people were saying it was a controversial loss, right? So it's kind of like, ooh, okay, maybe this is going to be a good matchup. Is this where it's going to be? You know, so just the brief history of like the people that we fought, right? But I think a solid win over Beneil will will just give me more stock to fighting a guy that on the on the top 15 level, you know, top 15. I probably won't, you know, I don't see myself getting a guy like a top 10 guy, you know what I mean? But at least starting to play with those numbers and fighting those guys because the goal for my next four fights or for my next three fights is to have a number by my name.
I think also the aspect that you bring of excitement to your fights helps to get those types of matchups when you move up in the
Yeah,
ranking. Don't you think so? Because a lot of guys they will win, but it takes them so long because their fights are not that exciting. You know, they're winning, but it's not that in an exciting way. Do you believe that's a benefit for you as you climb the rankings?
yeah, you know, as much you know, yeah, as much as the sport is a competitive sport, you know, it's going out there and getting the W's. But man, you got to go on there and you got to entertain, you know, and you got to entertain your fighters. And like I said, I don't have the one punch liners. I don't have the best dance moves, you know, to walk out to the cage, or I can't do backflips during fights. You know what I mean? But what I can do and what my style consists of is I'm gonna get in your face and I'm gonna punch you and I'm gonna try to stop you, you know, and people like that, you know, and it's not like I'm trying to make people like me for my fighting style. If anything, it is so humbling and it's so cool that people appreciate the heart and the will that I put in every fight. Uh, and it's so nice, bro. I don't know if I can explain it to you, man. It's just so nice, man. Been doing it for so long that people appreciate it. You know what I mean? That you know, and it's so cool that people see the heart and the will that I put in every single time that I get into the cage, and yeah, and you know, and if that's what's getting me these higher profile fights, by all means, man, give them all to me, bro. You know, like but at the end of the day, I gotta get these W's. You know what I mean? And being here with Team Aoyama, they're helping me with my. They're not changing my style at all, helping me get these wins, get these stoppages.
Yeah, it seems like Team Oyama, they're definitely not changing your style, but they're kind of putting some control to it, some controlled chaos, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's crazy, right? All of my fights, right? I never kicked. I never threw a kick. And my last fight, I threw more kicks in that fight than I have in my whole career. Because I think what happened was, I think like 3 weeks into camp for Nick Hein, I was hitting pads, and you know, I'm all hands. You know, you can just tell. Like I hate kicking because I hate hurting my feet. You know, like I don't want to kick someone with the elbow and be like, oh fuck my feet, and I can't move. You know, so I was hitting pads, and coach was like, "Okay, Larry, let's kick." And I was kicking the pads, and the pad holder was like, "Yo, you got a freaking power kick." And I'm like, "Well, I do got island legs, you know what I mean?" So it was just one of those things that we just, you know, like I'm discovering it and now putting even more tools together, you know.
Everybody knows you're from the islands, you know, UFC Guam, UFC Hawaii, you know, what do you think is going to happen first?
Man, UFC Guam is probably never gonna happen. We don't have a venue big enough. But man, UFC Hawaii. When I saw that Max Holloway was like was asking for it, I was like, man, please, let's do that. Let's do that. Yo, I would love to fight in Hawaii. Man, please even if it's the first fight on the
Yeah.
card, yo. Let me fight him, but don't let me fight a fellow Hawaiian, you know. Like let me fight someone else, but um, would love to fight on the islands, man. That's the dude. All the freaking champs come out of Hawaii, like like there's a lot of tough freaking guys in
Yeah.
our region, you know.
Yeah, not even mentioning like Tonga and Samoa and
Oh
all those guys
gosh,
over there in New Zealand and Australia that are doing it from the island that come from the islands. A lot of people don't
yeah.
understand like the island nations have been putting it down for a long, long time.
Oh man, for sure at the highest level. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
One last thing before I let you go, man. There's in MMA, there's a lots of different types of competitors. At this point in your career, you've been fighting for many years now. Do you feel like you're still a martial artist, or do you kind of have a little bit more of a prize fighter mentality in your mind?
That's a very good question, bro. Because I feel I feel you have to have a balance of a little bit of everything. Like there's four. I talked about it in previously. Four pillars that you need to have. One, you got to be a fighter. You got to be ready to when it gets tough, when you're tired, and the guy's on you. You got to dig down deep and you got to fight. That's pillar number one. Pillar number two, you got to be a martial artist, man. You got to come into the gym with the white belt mentality to always constantly learning. You're always constantly learning with no ego. Number three, you got to be a competitor, dude. You got to learn how to win because in this game, you could have all the fight of the nights if you want and all the performances, man. But you can get cut. They'll cut you if you don't win. So you have that, and then you got to be an athlete, right? You gotta treat yourself like an athlete. You gotta eat like an athlete. You gotta train like an athlete. So these four pillars, you know what I mean? And then that fifth pillar, it's kind of like now you got to be a prize fighter. Everyone's asking for, now there's a BMF title. Everyone's asking, for the big bucks and this and that. I'll get back to you on that when I do get to that level. But right now, man, I'm really enjoying the process, brother, and I'm loving everything. And in that time, when that time comes, I definitely have the team and the management team and the coaches to they'll guide me in the right direction, because all I really want to do is I want to compete and fight as much as I can.
Well, maybe if you come out of this fight uh, with nothing wrong, you can make a quick turnaround and you could get on that Busan
So
card.
hard.
Busan.
Yes.
Yes.
Busan or
Yeah.
not Seoul, but yeah, South Korea. But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I saw December 14th,
21st.
21st. Even better, dude. Even better. So that's the plan, man. Just cross my fingers. Let's get this. Let's get this W. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And would love to fight in Korea, yo.
Definitely, man.
I
Well,
don't,
you got a
yeah,
lot of fans here, man. A lot of people know you who you are in Korea, so it
that's
would be
what's up,
definitely
man.
something that'd be awesome to see.
Man, because I freaking fought a lot of freaking
Koreans.
tough ass Koreans, dude. Holy yo! I always tell people like yo, man, the Korean fighters that I've fought all the time, there's no freaking quit in them. It's crazy. It's so crazy. It's like you're really fighting warriors, man, and I have to appreciate that, bro, and that will never change, man.
Yeah, it's something that I feel that the Islanders they can relate with Koreans, and the Islanders they relate in that mentality, and that's why the Korean Zombie is so popular because of that.
Yeah, for sure, bro. And and he and the mentality, right, of like, I know we're gonna talk about Korean Zombie right now, but um he keeps fighting and he doesn't change. He keeps fighting till the end and he tries to finish guys, and sometimes it's your greatest weakness, but it's also your greatest
Hmm.
strength when like the last few seconds when he fought Yair, you know what I mean? But yo,
Yeah.
he was whooping Yair's ass, dude.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things, man. But you live and you die by the sword, and that's what makes the Korean Zombie. That's what makes the Islanders and the Asians all the tough fighters,
October 26th, you go to Singapore, UFC on ESPN plus 20. Frank, man, it's always a pleasure
Oh, it's
speaking with
always a
you,
pleasure,
man.
brother.
It's always awesome, man. You know, I'm always rooting for you. You know, I guess you're not supposed to root for fighters, but hey, who cares? All right, man. Thanks so much,
Thanks,
man.
brother. Hey, you have a good day, brother.